They also identified educational initiatives and programs that support diaspora and home partnerships, where we highlighted some of the success stories that are already tangible in terms of some of the Zambians that have been exposed to the diaspora. The panel discussed the challenges and opportunities related to accessing education and bridging the gap between education and entrepreneurship. That's not an exhaustive subject. Please feel free to engage the panel at any given time between the breaks and get more information from them. Right, systems and processes, catching up on time. Our next session is Food is Power and I Need a Ride. This is Entrepreneurship in Zambia, and I have the pleasure of inviting first the moderator, Mwambwa from Safari Homes Limited. It gets intimidating to come to the stage. Please applaud them as they come up. Our own highlighted Mr. Anthony Chanka from Fireside. By the way, Mr. Anthony Chanka, we've got a running joke where he's always in Zambia, so we've adopted our wife. Her name is Wupe. That's who we call Mrs. Chanka over there. I'd like to invite Mr. Joseph Chikota, the founder, Drivern Technologies and Third Ball Initiative. As the panelists come to the stage, just a gentle reminder that we will be sticking to time, and Sonika is helping us manage the time. Sonika, where are you? There we go. So for the speaker, Sonika is right in front of us here with the blue jacket. He will be helping us manage the time. We will take a short break after this particular session, and at this point in time, I'll just get straight into it and hand over to Xavier.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Rose, for giving me the mic for the second time. Good morning, everyone. So, because we've lost 40 minutes of the time schedule, I would like to request for indulgence and I'll dispense with all the formalities. I'll not read your bios, but the gentlemen do a very good job of introducing themselves in a minute. The session title is Food is Power and I Need a Ride. I think we must be wondering why I need a ride. We'll find out soon. So, Anthony, I think one of the quotes that I read from he's got it's very good blog, is I am because you are. So, as you introduce yourself in terms of who you are, and just briefly what you're doing, without going into details, because we're going to go to that soon, can you just tell us also where you're coming from with that quote and explain to us about who you are as a person?
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. All protocols observed, so if I can write on those protocols, please. So my name is Anthony Chanka. I'm a proud Zambian. Came to the States when I was 19 years old, and I've been here ever since. I love Zambia. I think about Zambia every single day. I think Xavier mentioned the quote, my beloved quote of, I am because you are. Part of that is the Ubuntu in all of us, right? I cannot be successful and be happy if my sister or my brother is struggling. So that is where that quote comes from. I live it every single day, the way I interact with my family, my siblings, and so on and so forth. Professionally, I am into strategy and procurement. I work for a multinational organization. For those of you that live in Atlanta, Hold Their Haze holds part of Food Lion and 5 other brands across the northeast. Just in full transparency, I'm here on my own wheel as a part of what I do in Zambia, and so on and so forth. And I hope we'll get to talk about that a little bit more. So, in short, why I'm talking about food is power. Part of what my concentration on is really strategizing and looking at how we're going to feed America with fresh fruits and vegetables. So I procure from all over the place in the world, and we feed America. So.
Thanks, Anthony. By the way, allow me to call them by their first name, because I know they don't mind. I've known them for years. So I'll just call you Anthony and Joseph. Joseph, I keep saying every time we meet that I joke with you, like I have to be optimistic about Zambia, because I think you lean towards a pessimism, and you have justifiable reason around that. I think that's my most famous tease of you when I'm introducing you to people. But also, the last part of this title, of this session, I Need a Ride, is because of what you're trying to do. I think you're the only one who can give us a ride. People need rides, everyday rides, commute, but also our everyday supplies, right? Groceries, retails, and I think you talk a bit more about that.
That's
so
right, yep.
Tell us about yourself first, and a summary of what you're doing in Zambia.
Okay. My name is Joseph Chikota. I like to say that I come from Patamato in Luanshya, so you can look it up. I left Zambia in 91. I spent a year at UNZA. Then I went to UK. I moved to the US. I call it in 92, somewhere there. So I've lived both in UK and in the US since then. I work in technology. I did my degree at University of Manchester in electrical electronics. But most of the years I've worked in tech industry, both in the UK and the US. I've worked for Fortune 500 companies. I've worked for the Bridgewater Associates, if anybody knows that. At the moment I work at Bloomberg as a consultant.
Thank you, gentlemen. So coming to you, Anthony, one can almost say there's very few sectors or themes that you're not involved. From nostalgic solutions to giants, and you're doing the agro processing in Zambia. So maybe this time around you can just take a deep dive into really explaining, really in concrete terms, the agro processing project, and take us through your journey, well, as briefly as possible, in terms of how you ended up where you are now with agro processing. And value addition is it's a catchphrase. It's almost like a cliche in Zambia now, right? Every politician, I'm sure the ambassador has used it several times in his speeches about, we need value addition, and all of us. But I think you have actually gone beyond the rhetoric into actually doing something concrete around that. So I think it would be interesting to hear from you.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. So I've worked for this organization. I worked for a little over 18 years. And when you look at, I started in the New York metro area, store operations. I was relocated some few years back into Pennsylvania when the organization decided to centralize, went to the corporate office, and again, there was a decentralization. I was moved into the DC metro area. So through all those moves, doing my work, what I do best as far as strategy and procurement, I saw something that was really missing, and this is something that I really have struggled with over the years with my nostalgia every single day. And that's, when I'm here in the States, I'm always missing a little bit about Zambia. When I go to Zambia, I'm missing a little bit about the United States, because my entire childhood is in Zambia and my entire adult life is in America. So there's always that little bit of identity crisis, for lack of a better term. So I started a little bit with what was it that I was missing. It was as simple as a little bit of eat some more. I would go to Zambia and bring some eat some more, and I would sell a little bit. I'll go to Zambia, I'll bring some carpenter, I would sell a little bit of that, right? And through all that stuff, I wanted to find solutions to some of these things. Hence, you'll see a shameless plug here, Nostalgia Solutions at the top right over there, because I wanted to find solutions to things that people are missing. And, my phrase, you see, endless possibilities. Try to find possibilities in every single little thing. So he talked about what I'm doing in Zambia. I go back to my work, every time I'm into the marketplace, I'm looking for Zambian-made products. It's very rare, even in my field of work, that I can go into any location and find a product of Zambia. So that set me on a path to start to look for solutions. How can we get Zambian products onto the global market, right? So I started doing my research, figure out what the hurdles were, what was preventing Zambian products to get to the global market, and wanted to find the solution so hard. Last year when we did the conference in Livingstone, Shifting Mindset Conference. I was on a panel in Livingstone with Mrs. Sylvia Banda. Many of you that do some form in Zambia will know Mrs. Sylvia Banda or Silver Catering. And we're on the same panel, just like Joseph and I are. And, we are talking about food processing. And by the end of that conversation, we ended up striking a deal that has seen us gone into a joint venture into food processing. So I am glad to say last week I was in Zambia. I came back yesterday from Zambia actually, and we opened a milling plant. We have a processing plant. We're doing meal and soon to be found somewhere in America. Not only is it meal, but we also have another line that's doing the snacks, whether it's corn puffs, chips, and so on and so forth. That's the first portion. In the next 45, 60 days, we're moving on to a larger plant that I'm working on with my family. So, all that good stuff. It's just trying to find solutions.
That's brilliant, Anthony. So before I get kicked out of here by my timekeeper, and hopefully we're going to have some more Q&A interactive session. Joseph.
Yes, Xavier.
Very briefly, tell us about the rideshare app first.
Well, I think when you say brief, it's going to be very difficult. So I'll extend it a little bit. Tell me when to stop. So because I can't stop. So I think I want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff I've done.
I'll make sure you do stop.
Yeah. So I don't believe what he said about optimism and pessimism. So don't believe him. So I am one of those people that I still feel like I'm 9 years old. And I remember when some of the projects I did in jets, those that remember jets, I remember in high school I designed a solar system. This was back in the 80s, okay? That never took off, but I didn't have the opportunity. But I'm always very hopeful that, the knowledge that I have and the skills that I can translate. So I've tried a lot of stuff. So I'll try not to mention some of the entities that I run in Zambia. So the longest running online newspaper in Zambia, I started with some colleagues. We were the first one to do live streaming for the Ngoma Awards. That's where I met Mlenga Kapwepwe. We did it live. We were the first rideshare company in Zambia registered in Papakra, not Yango, not Ulendo. So I've been sort of trying to use the skills that I have to see how we can customize and make things work back home. We've tried a lot of things. Those people that know there are accidents in Zambia, Chiwombo, we piloted a project to actually send drones to Chiwombo from Lusaka Central Province. This is back in when the drones first came on the market. We've tried to help UTH with providing iPads and free, system to actually keep the records. Some of those have worked, others haven't. But the one that is touched on, which is the rideshare, that's where we are now. So back in 2015, we did a rideshare. Those that live in Lusaka, we may have seen London taxis, lots of them. So that was me. So we sort of put back because I think my passion is actually to try and see what I can do to help the youth back home. So for those that don't know the stats, I think as of today, 82% of people in Zambia are below the age of 35. You can check that. The median age in Zambia is 17. So in my perspective, if we're talking about education, talking about business in Zambia, I think, we actually need to think about the people, the demographics. I think if we plan as if we are our demographics are the same as the US, I think we're missing the point. They were talking about AI, sorry to digress. I think there are things that can be done quicker. We don't have to wait for government. We don't. So I'll reach out to you. We can go to
Can you speak about Drivern in 30 seconds?
So Drivern, We did start rideshare. So what we're shifting now from rideshare, I believe the way we've structured our company, which is rideshare, is half of it will be owned by the drivers. We want, so everything that I run in Zambia is towards, I believe philanthropy is you run a business and pay your workers as good as yourself, so that when you're profitable, they also earn. So I believe we can, we sort of have to shift the way we run businesses. I think even as Zambians, if you run a business, Anthony, think about your workers. You have one pair of feet, one mouth. You can't do more than that. So I believe in, let's share as we make money. There's no point in accumulating the money while your workers and colleagues are poor.
So lastly, and I'm abusing my role here because I've been shut down already. Of all the needs in Zambia and all the sectors you could have chosen, what is that one thing that made you choose the respective sectors? And in hindsight, if you look back, do you think it was the right decision? Or would you have now, knowing what you know and your experiences in Zambia, would you have chosen a different sector? Just quickly, Anthony, maybe first.
Yes, I have a great passion for agriculture, which is turning into my purpose, quite frankly. No regrets about that. I think when you look at food in itself, it's always been a centerpiece of human existence, right? And it's also been a catalyst for social, economic, and political change. So for me, I have no regrets about that. I think it's the right way to go as we're looking at alleviating poverty and food security as a whole. So no regrets there. A lot of work to do. Zambia has a lot of arable land, and we're only using about 10% of that. Imagine what we can do if we just increase it by 10% more and open up Zambian products to the global market. I'm betting on agriculture all the way.
Okay, is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay, almost 3 seconds.
You better start now. You're eating.
Okay, so so like Anthony, so we've pivoted from rideshare, so we've actually moved to grocery delivery. Well, we started talking to supermarkets way back in the 2014s to do the online shopping and grocery delivery. They refused. Things have changed now. So my rideshare company is now focused on grocery delivery. So by end of next year, you will see about 1,000 motorbikes doing deliveries branded with Drivern. So a company called Drivern Fresh. We've partnered with the supermarkets, so it'll be branded by supermarkets. So that's why we're pivoting, because food is what sustains us. So we've actually pivoted from ride to, we're focusing now first on food delivery, yes. So we'll be doing on-shelf. From your app, you can order the groceries and have them delivered within like half an hour to an hour.
Great. So it was actually for the benefit of the audience that I was rushing you guys, because I tried to do this differently. We're actually going to have a short interaction session, so we can go into details on some of the things. Before we do that, can you, each one of you, tell us, so far, working in Zambia, it could actually be on these specific projects or generally on your projects, what has been your most memorable, depressing, demoralizing moment where you felt like you wanted to quit, specifically related to the project? And then what has been your most exciting and satisfying moment working with other people in Zambia or on this project?
I wanted to quit before I got on the plane the day before yesterday coming back here. So it's a very challenging environment in Zambia, quite frankly. But on the flip side, that's what keeps me motivated anyway, because I see the potential. I truly, truly see the potential in Zambia. And that's why I truly believe in this shifting mindset on anything we do, right? Whether it's to ignite growth, whether it's talking about entrepreneurship, we have to do everything we can as a people to shift those mindsets, how we think, how we go to business. And I truly believe collectively as a people, one day we are going to get there. So there are many moments I can talk about, just trying to get people to buy into the vision and understanding what it is you're talking about, and you really can't blame them, right? I think the ambassador talked about it. This market exposes you to a lot, right? And I can't go to Zambia expecting people to understand what's happening in this market. They haven't been here. They don't know what they don't know. So it's incumbent upon every single one of us to educate, train, mentor, and do everything we can to bring the people along and understanding what we have to do. We've been trying to work with the mission, actually, in my space of agriculture, trying to bring people and get them to understand what it is so they can make better policies on that. My proudest moment is, when we started this milling company, the equipment, everything, getting into the factory and getting there. When I got back there a few weeks and shaking the hands of a young man that hasn't had employment and seeing the tears from this young man just because he gave him an opportunity, I think that was
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, Anton. I think it's always good to put the feeling, the feeling and the emotions to what we do, because I think that's what connects people, right? So clearly, we can tell your passion for that. Joseph?
Okay, yeah, I think one frustrating thing I think about Zambia, I think it's not like Zambian, I think it's just because of the situation. So when we started the company back in the North London taxis, actually, I gave the drivers or the workers equity. It's like, half of it is yours. When we make profit, when the company is profitable, it will be yours. I mean, people don't see the value simply because they want money on the food. I think that's a frustrating thing where you try to partner with somebody, you give somebody a little bit of some money and a lot of equity, they don't see the value. That's very frustrating because, the people that make money here in the US, it's because of equity. When the company is profitable, you make money. So that's one frustrating thing. Then one of the things that excited me was I've been trying to raise money. We have a VC in Silicon Valley called Include Ventures. So we asked for some money. We've been having discussions, and then one surprise that came was one Zambian tried to force me to package my business so that they could actually invest a little bit of some money. So the surprise has been that from that moment on, I've had Zambians in Zambia, not wealthy, Zambians in the diaspora who've actually invested. I think within a 7-day period from the time I think we raised like $25,000 in 7 days. So this was like back in June. So after that, it's gone up. So I was very, very surprised. But actually, Zambians that I complain about can actually see the vision and invest. So it's been very, very encouraging. Yeah.
That's brilliant. And are you both still looking for money? Sure. Can people invest here individually?
Excuse me?
Are you looking for more?
Yeah. So I think sometimes you make statements you come and regret. But I think in Zambia it's possible to run a company. I hope by the time, if I'm alive, we should be able to have a $500 million company in valuation in 5 years' time. So, yeah, if you want to invest, the opportunities are there. We'll share the vision, and so we'll get the details from Xavier.
Okay, great. So I think it's your turn now to take part in this conversation. We're going to make it short, and Sonika is keeping me in check on time. So please make sure the question has a question mark at the end, and then we're going to have enough networking tomorrow where we can exchange what we know. So it's not time for you to give your own experience and speech. Please, let's just have questions to the panelists. Just put up your hand, and then I think there's a mic going around as
well. In the back end over there, Sid.
Yeah, I'm blind, so the one with the mic can just, when you see a hand, just give them the mic. I can't see.
Hi, everyone. My name is Precious Mwambwa, and I work in the food security and livelihood sector. So food is my business, and I have a question for Anthony. So I think in the earlier remarks, the ambassador did mention that for businesses to thrive, you really need to create sustainable systems. So in this sector, we're talking about sustainable food systems. And we yet understand that food production and processing contributes to climate change in a negative way. A couple of months ago, I was in France attending a global food security forum where the private sector was called out for not really paying attention to issues of climate change. So my question for you is, what steps are you taking in mitigating climate change along your value chain processes?
Thank you. It's a simple question when you put it that way, but it's also a very, very complicated question, and you have to unpack that whole thing, which will take quite a lot of time. But as a person in business, I look at all those things, how climate change is going to impact what I do, especially when you talk about the milling company on the side of, manufacturing milling mill. You look at in places today that used to have plenty of rainfall, there is no rainfall. Other places that, didn't have rainfall are having rainfall. So you have to think about shifting which areas you have to go into, but also to help mitigate that, each organization needs to have some sustainable policies in place. I'm very passionate about climate change as well, and we look and encourage all our people to obviously contribute to being better neighbors, being good stewards of the earth in whatever it is that we do. It's a simple question, but very complicated, and that needs to be really unpacked. But certainly climate change, it has a lot of impact, especially for what I'm doing in Zambia. I spent a lot of days the past week deep in the villages of Kafiwe and seeing the impact firsthand, and try to work with these local farmers there so they can exclusively farm for what I'm doing in Zambia. So climate change is at the top of my mind, and what we do next, I don't have all the answers. I'm not an expert in that realm, but all I can do is try to be a good steward of Mother Earth.
And there's a hand right in the center. I think the gentleman was first, and then we can come to the lady in front.
Good day. The farming and the land issue are very difficult to separate. So the question is, does Zambia have systems to handle that access to the farms so that farmers can actually do their farming?
Very good question, and something that we're looking to do. I think one of the things, Your Excellency, if I may just talk about this a little bit, I'm trying to coordinate with the embassy and both the U.S. government and the Zambian government is how do we create an environment, number one, where Zambian farmers understand the protocols of sustainable farming, right? Number two, how do we give them access to the global market if they get to that? So to your question, I think if I understood it correctly, do they have access? Is that right? Yes. So we have to get our farmers to understand the global standards, because whether we are just going to be dealing regionally within the region, and this is a topic that gets me going, quite frankly, because you look at Zambia, about 20 million people, right? Look around Zambia, the 8 or 9 countries that are neighbors, there's 350 million people around there. That's a big market that we can tap into. There are countries like Angola that are importing agriculture products all the way from Peru, all the way from South America. And we can stop that by implementing some sustainable farming practices, making sure that they understand the global standards. So that's something that I want to be part and parcel of a solution to there, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that Zambia attains that goal of better farming practices. I hope I somewhat answered your question a little bit, but if not, there will be time, we can conversate and get deeper into the discussions.
Sorry, go on. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So can I just see who else? Yeah, so you're next, but can I just see who else wants to ask a question so that I disappoint you now than later?
I want to ask, can I ask Anthony a question?
Yeah, sure. I'll come back to you. Just
okay, sure, thanks.
Please, can I see your hands? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and then we'll be done because he's not looking at me nicely. Joseph, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I've got a question for Anthony. Sorry, we'll always go eat food. So I know Mwambwa, Panuka Farms. Okay, he's local. So when you talk about farming in Zambian farming, are you talking about indigenous farmers or are you talking about commercial farmers from South Africa? So I think for me, I'm passionate about uplifting the Zambians, much as I care about other foreign farmers in Zambia, I really don't care. So what are you doing? So when you talk about farming, is that the indigenous Zambians to help them uplift them, or is it that the commercial farmers have come into Zambia to do farming?
Not that Joseph wants to take over my job.
No, I know. No.
Go ahead.
I think when you look at it's a very good question, but when you look at that, it's two sides of the same coin, right? And I'll look at my circumstances. America has been great to me, and I'm a proud Zambian, right? Think about if somebody said, I wouldn't give Anthony an opportunity because he is not American, right? I found myself in some boardrooms up high in corporate America, not because I'm just American, I'm Zambian American, and proud of both of those. I can't take those away. When you talk about farming, commercial farming, certainly it's mainly handled by non-indigenous Zambians. They are the ones who are exporting, they're the ones who are growing commercially, right? You look at this past week that I was in Zambia, my time I spent it deep in the villages of Mungu, Kafiwe, Chiawa, going in those areas where the indigenous Zambians really do need the opportunities to grow. So for me, in order to be successful, you cannot exclude to say, hey, we're just going to deal with indigenous Zambians or big commercial farmers. How do we teach and train and help the indigenous Zambians to learn best farming practices, bring them up to par, and then how do we also bring the two together that are doing commercial farming and the ones that are doing, whether it's just a small garden, and combine them as a community together and improve Zambia. So it's two sides of the same coin in my view.
Brilliant. So what I'm hearing is that the foreign commercial farmers who are making it big in Zambia are not making it big because they're foreign. They're making it big because wherever they're coming from, they have access to supportive services, access to extensions, money. So if we do the same thing for Zambian, they'll be able to get the same strategy, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not a question of foreign versus Zambians.
Right.
It's what is it that is making foreigners succeed that we can also do for I think that's sort of the discussion. That's why it should be going.
It is, and if I may, Your Excellency, I think this is where we need the help of the nation and obviously the Zambian government. How do we get those small-scale farmers kind of publish their needs as far as maybe ZDA can help us into this, right? We have a lot of Zambians here. I think if I count here, I've been a Zambia, I think not $2 million. If we collectively, I think Orlando talked about this, there is power in numbers. If we collectively look at some projects, Zambia, what can we do? But ZDA, maybe they can publish either shovel-ready projects that need financing, and then we can reverse engineer that. Here in this group, I'm sure we can find 10 people that can put together $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million. Invest in those projects. This is, I think we make it so complicated than it needs to be. The biggest challenge is, can we work together as a people?
Yes, and can we work together within the same time? Let me stop you. I think the lady from bottom one.
Hello, my name is Maria Kim. I'm a Korean American woman, also a diaspora. I was invited by the Korean foreign Prime Minister Future Leaders Generation discussing these similar topics. And my family happens to be in the international farmers market business, where I started as a general counsel and ran it as a CEO. So it's very intentional on my part to have global conversations that really connect us. And oftentimes I find myself being the only Asian woman in a room where no one looks like me. By heart, I know we're all the same. Whether it's the state of the black students in the Georgia State University and vice versa, I'm personally interested in, from the ground up, finding out what can we do to have these aligned conversations. For example, I have colleagues in DC with very big Korean American organizations, Asian organizations, but very few times do we reach out outside of our silos. And from the governmental level, we know the conversation is happening. We see it on the news all the time. But from the ground up, how can we do that? And one of my favorite proverbs is African. If we want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So if you really want to start that dialogue, how can we come together? What can we do? Because I'm glad that there's another Asian woman here. I'm very happy about that I'm not the only one in the room today. But I think it's really, thank you, my sister. I think it's really important that from the ground level, we have these discussions, that it's not happening just on top. And there's a pain point real quickly. There's a disconnection even within our own people. I'll use myself, for example. I moved to New York City when I was 9 years old. I had a very love-hate relationship with South Korea. It wasn't until 2019, the foreign prime minister invited me to attend the conference and speak, that I felt that fire in my soul and say, I am a US citizen and I am a Korean American, and I am freaking proud to be in that space. So there's that connection, and then there's the connection of being a woman and a person of color in this land of opportunities. So there's so much alignment we need to kind of start, and having your excellence here and all these leaders, how can we do that so we can have a better aligned togetherness for our future generations?
Okay, hold on to that thought. Don't forget the question, or write it down. Because we want to do both today, this morning, go far and fast at the same time. So I'm going to get the last two questions, and then they can take them together. No, Orlando, no. I think there was a hand before Orlando. There was a hand before Orlando, I think. I saw, where?
Right there, see, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please. I'll come to you, Orlando.
Hi, good morning. My question pertains to any new developments in Zambia as it relates to water. When we talk about sustainable technology and land development as it pertains to farming, water is continuing to be a big topic. The scarcity of water, how can we be very innovative and creative in utilizing acquiring water, whether it be recycling of groundwater, aqueducts, various other water resources. So I wanted to know if Zambia has recently found any new ways that they're able to acquire water, especially to support farmers, local farmers who may not necessarily, who are finding difficulties with this. So if there have been any latest developments, I know in various Southern Black American communities here in the South, with my roots being Southern Black American woman, I'm noticing a lot of the youth and others are really being more creative and trying to find solutions to help with water, especially a lot of the marginalized areas and farmland. So I wonder if Zambia has been successful in doing the same. Thank you.
Orlando, it's your turn. It felt good to say no to Orlando.
Next to Orlando.
The solution to your problem with the indigenous farmers and being small is follow the model that's being used here in the United States. Create a cooperative. Therefore, you put them together, you have economies of scale, they're able to purchase things at a cheaper price, and they own a piece of the cooperative. So not only do they benefit from the growth of the cooperative, but they benefit from the economies of scales of purchasing. That would be the way of merging your indigenous with the commercial operators so they actually are able to sort of benefit from the knowledge that's coming from the commercial side. Okay.
Thank you. I think.
Thank you, Orlando. Let's take the last one.
Next to Orlando. Next to Orlando, I think you had a question.
Well, my question was actually going after the exportation of food from Zambia to the United States, and yet Africa is going to Russia to ask Russia to bring food to the continent. So I'm a little lost in that space for now, because everyone is aggressively wanting to bring food to Africa, and yet we are bringing food to the United States. So that was my question.
Thank you very much. So this is closing now. So
Okay.
Can you, as we close, address any of the questions? You don't have to address all of them. Okay. And then, Joseph, I'll give you a last say as well. I will shut you down if you go on.
Perfect. No, that's good. So I'll start with the young lady here who talked about how can we, either work together and so on. It starts by conversations like this. You look at my first joint venture in Zambia on one of the milling companies. It started from a panel, the discussions evolved, and we ended up being business partners, right? The question of water, it is a big problem, but there are many, many solutions that I have seen being used out here. When you look at California or in Arizona, in the deserts where they're growing things out there, there's a lot of new technology that we have to talk about and make sure that we're using technology. So, Aretha, your question about Zambia, I actually did talk a lot more about that. I was very proud when I saw that our Zambian president was one of the 5 presidents that went to Russia and Ukraine, but the opportunity I think that was left on the table was these 5 African presidents should have gotten together and say, yes, there's a global gap in grain supply in the global. How can we identify farming blocks and support these farmers that can grow wheat, grain, and then let's export them into the market? So it's a very good question, and I think, Your Excellency, that's part of the things I think that we have to talk about. We see the opportunity in the global market, identify some zones, support those people in those zones, and then have them, work on filling that gap in the global market. Joseph.
Well done. Joe, Sonika will hold the time until you finish. When it reaches 0, it's time for you to stop.
Okay, okay, right, okay, that's fine. Yeah, so I think talking about the integrating the multicultural sort of collaboration. So one of the things that I do in my sleep, I actually do drive for Uber, and the reason I do it is to just meet different nationalities and different people. On average, I think between September and now, I think I've spoken to about 2,000 people, and which is great. I mean, I think it's one way to break the barriers because we don't realize the biases that we have, even our own people, until you actually, you talk to people. So I think one of the things to do is sometimes you just act. If you're open, just keep pushing the doors, and you meet people that are like-minded, and then from there, your network will grow. For you, what you can do, the ambassador is there. You can start with Anthony's there. There are people here. Just network with the people that you start from here, and then push a boundary from there. You bump into somebody who'll be able to sort of multiply your effort to try and reach out. Zambians are very friendly anyway, so.
Very good. Please join me in thanking the 2 gentlemen for doing this discussion. Thank you very much.